Well, you're here on time. Listen, Jinyun, we aren't enemies. So tell me, what's up?
Buenos dias, children.
The mayor's in the house. What up? The mayor's in the house. Better throw them hands up. The mayor's in the house. Hear them talking in the streets. The mayor's in the house. Turning over that new leaf. The mayor's in the house.
Welcome, one and all, to episode 2 of the Super Genius European History Podcast. First, I want to cover all the questions that I've received from my first episode, which came out last week. Oh wait, there are no questions. No one has asked any questions. And I had a whopping 7 hits of people downloading things on iTunes. So I don't know if anybody's downloading this or listening to this, but if you are, ask a question. Today we're going to talk about Girolamo Savonarola. Girolamo Savonarola, and that is the last time I will be saying his first name because it is hard to say, was a friar living in Renaissance Florence. A friar is a guy that devotes his life to the Catholic Church. Now you're saying, you mean like a monk? Well, actually, they're different than monks. Monks live in monasteries away from other people, and they are primarily a scholastic, they study type order. Friars live amongst the people. They beg for support. They help the people. I'm going to attack this fly. There's a fly on my mouth. Oh, boom, boom. Yeah, that's what you get. All right. Sorry about that. Now there's my brand new microphone has dead fly on it. It lived. The fly lived. All right, moving on. Friars differ from monks in that they actually live amongst the people. They help the people in the community, and they have to beg for support. They are not directly financed by the Catholic Church. Well, one day, this friar, Savonarola, has a vision. He sees God, and God tells him he needs to warn the people because the church is in danger. Now, this shifts Savonarola from faithful friar to fanatical friar. He's got a mission. He wants to save the world because God actually told him to. And frankly, that is a pretty good reason to get intense. It worked for him. He became such a passionate speaker that literally people supposedly burst into tears when he talked. The topic of his speeches was usually a coming apocalypse, sometimes a flood that would destroy all the people on earth, and it was all brought on by a world where the rich dominated the poor and the church had lost its way. Oh wait, that's pretty much what was happening in Renaissance Florence. More worldliness, more secular type activity, and the rich being much richer than the poor and dominating them. And hey, was the church losing its way? Yeah, as a matter of fact, they were. Well, in 1494, one of Savonarola's prophecies came true. He had predicted the foreign... Oh, what? Oh, got him. I got him. I got the fly. All right. Everyone can rest easy now. Sorry about that. So, let's start again. So anyway, in 1494, one of Savonarola's greatest fears, that a foreign invader would enter Florence and violate their borders, comes true. Charles VII, who is one of the new monarchs, you may recognize that from the chapter in the Renaissance in your European history textbook, he invades the peninsula of Italy in an attempt to conquer Naples. But while he's there, he decides to also mess with the Florentines and let them know he could come in if he wanted to. Instead of standing up to him, the Medici ruler of Florence decides he's going to make nice with him. And this really bothers some people because they think Florence should have shown more self-respect and shown a stronger hand against the French. Frankly, it's not a terrible idea to be nice to the French, who are much more powerful to you, but some people really get frustrated with the Medicis. So they get rid of them, and they go back to a Republican form of government. You mean like Mitt Romney? No, not like Mitt Romney. I mean a republic, wherein it's basically a democracy where you have elected officials. Anyway, Savonarola decided this foreign invasion was a sign from God. So he persuades many of the citizens of Florence to join him in burning their worldly goods in giant fires. Literally, people are lighting fires and throwing stuff in it. They're throwing their art, they're throwing pearls, they're throwing other jewelry. I don't know why I singled out pearls, all of that. This is called the bonfire of the vanities. And it really symbolizes the greatest success for Savonarola, because at this time, he is essentially one of the most important people in Florence, and people are doing what he wants. Problem is, even if you're a big deal at home, you can't criticize the Pope and think you can get away with it. Savonarola accuses Pope Alexander VI of immorality, which frankly is a bit fair, and the Pope kicks him out of the Catholic Church. He excommunicates him. It's the fancy way to say that. Some of Savonarola's enemies in other Catholic orders, the Franciscans in this case, saw an opportunity to challenge Savonarola and his order, the Dominican monks, to a challenge. The challenge, walking through fire to prove that you are telling the truth. And not surprisingly, everybody in town wants to see this, because that is awesome. And everybody wants to see people walk on fire. Think about it. The worst case scenario is that someone will catch on fire in front of you. The best case scenario is a miracle will happen. Either way, this is good entertainment. So the Franciscan and the Dominican guys, neither one want to do this. See, it's supposed to be one from each that's going to do this in front of a whole big old crowd. And they got everything all set up and people are all pumped. And then nobody wants to do it. Well, I don't know about you, but if I show up at a fire walking ceremony and nobody walks on fire, I am going to be upset. So the people turn on the Dominicans, they turn on Savonarola, and the next day, I guess you could say, he was hanging out. And by that I mean he was executed. It ended the life of a man who to some is frankly kind of an intolerant grump. Others, he's a hero. Some people think of him as a man of great faith and virtue who really had a strong moral compass and was trying to combat against the excesses of the Renaissance. There's really no right or wrong answer here. History tends to be a little bit negative towards him because the excesses in Florence that he was railing against were also the same things that we identify with the greatness and the art of the Renaissance. Nice thing about history, you can decide for yourself. You can pick a side and debate about it. I encourage you to find out more about Savonarola. As far as for the test goes, if you know what I just told you, you know more than the test will ever ask you about Savonarola. Alright, so that ends episode 2 of the Super Genius AP European History podcast. I invite you, please feel free to send me a question, a comment. Just let me know you're out there. And that would be at Oliver Euro, OLIVEREURO. Spelling Euro is hard, even though I write it every single day on the board. We'll see you next week. I'll probably talk about something else in the Renaissance before moving on to the Reformation. I'm trying to cover kind of the lesser known people who sometimes show up on the test. Last week's Machiavelli, he was kind of a bigger name than I did Savonarola. I think in next week I might do Laura Serrata or somebody like that, a woman that you'd be able to pull some information about, because the AP test loves to ask questions about social history and women. So, see you next week. Peace out.
Shaking trees, yo, picking fruit too. Tell me what the mayor's supposed to do. Buying furniture, catching mad fish. That ain't a fish, that's just an old boot, dude. Really though, gonna go recycle it and fish some more. Gonna buy a hat at the clothing store when I make